And here we go to the National Mall. Pay attention. You're going to be picking one of these monuments to write about. There we go.
Hey travelers, welcome back to another episode of Traveling Tips. Today we are going to downtown Washington, D.C. to explore the monuments on the National Mall. I've had the pleasure of visiting the National Mall so many times growing up, whether on field trips or family outings, but today's visit is extra special because we are exploring two new monuments that have opened in the last year and visiting some of my old favorites where I'd love to show you some tips about visiting. Are you ready to go? Let's do it. When you think of Washington, D.C., what comes to mind? Maybe it's the White House, maybe the cherry blossoms every spring, or maybe the Smithsonian museums. For many visitors to Washington, D.C., it's the National Mall. Home to monuments to presidents and prominent leaders, the National Mall really is like America's backyard. It's not a shopping mall, it's one of our national parks. Located on the western edge of Washington, D.C., the National Mall and adjacent tidal basin are giant open spaces for all Americans and international visitors to enjoy. The National Mall runs from the west front of the Capitol to the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. On this land that is maintained by the National Park Service, monuments honor wars, presidents, and influential leaders in our nation's history. The National Mall is home to many of the Smithsonian museums as well, which we'll cover those in another episode. We'll begin our look at these monuments with one of the newest memorials built, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. Located on Independence Avenue near the tidal basin, the memorial was dedicated in 2011 after years of design and fundraising efforts. This was the first memorial to be built on the National Mall to honor an individual other than a U.S. president. The theme of this memorial is "Out of the Mountain of Despair, a Stone of Hope," derived from a quote from Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech, which was delivered just a short distance away on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in 1963. Other quotes from Dr. King are engraved on the walls that flank the tall carved image of the civil rights leader. This memorial is free to visit and is conveniently located near the heart of the National Mall. The other memorials on the mall honor fallen soldiers from our nation's wars and presidents who had significant impact on our country's history. Located adjacent to Freedom Plaza at Pennsylvania Avenue between 14th and 15th Streets is the brand new World War I Memorial. Dedicated in April of 2021, this memorial honors the fallen and those who served in the Great War, which ended over 100 years ago. This is the second World War I memorial within the District of Columbia, the first being dedicated to the citizens from DC that fought and lost their lives in World War I. Located a few blocks away along 15th Street is the World War II Memorial. Dedicated in 2004, the memorial recognizes the struggle and victories on both the European and Pacific fronts during World War II. Pylons engraved with the names of the U.S. states and territories circle a central fountain pool. The memorial sits low in the ground to limit obstructing the view from the Lincoln Memorial to the Washington Monument. To the east, on Independence Avenue, is another brand new memorial that honors President Dwight D. Eisenhower. This memorial highlights Eisenhower's military career, where he led the U.S. forces during the D-Day invasion of Europe in World War II, and his presidential career, where he championed the interstate highway system. Above the memorial is a large mesh tapestry that depicts the scene on the Normandy beaches during the D-Day landing on June 6, 1944. The new Eisenhower Memorial is located across the street from the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum and down the street from the National Museum of the American Indian and the Capitol Building. The centerpiece of the National Mall is easily the Washington Monument. This 555-foot tall obelisk sits upon a hill and is dedicated to the first president of the United States. It was built between 1848 and 1884. Construction was interrupted by the American Civil War. If you look closely, you can see that midway up the monument, the stone changes color. This is because when construction resumed after the end of the Civil War, the stone used came from a different quarry than the stone used before the war. You can line up day of to secure tickets for a ride up to the observation deck at the top of the monument. Make sure you get there early because tickets sell out quickly. To the west, at the end of the reflecting pool, is the Lincoln Memorial. This monument honors the 16th President of the United States. Words from the Gettysburg Address and the Emancipation Proclamation are engraved on the walls inside. 36 columns surround the memorial, symbolizing the 36 states in the Union when Lincoln was in office. One of the best secrets of this memorial is that you can actually walk around the outside corner to get a view of the Potomac River side of the monument, which provides one of the best views of Memorial Bridge, Arlington National Cemetery, and the Arlington, Virginia skyline. On the mall side, you can stand in the exact spot where Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech in 1963 during the March on Washington.
So I think I'm actually going to stop it there and show the rest another time because we have a lot of other things to do today. But I wanted you, before we talked about the writing, to know what I'm talking about, because it's hard to picture a place that you've never seen. So if you look in the assignments for today, if you go back to our Flex and you look in our assignments, you're going to see that we're starting a new mod in language arts. When you look on May 8th, the agenda, it tells you you're supposed to do the pretest for mod 12 on the government. The reason we're doing this is fifth grade is the year that you learn about what articles our government was founded on, like what our Constitution is, which is the law of our land, and what people, fought for freedom for, and how they founded this nation. So those are all pretty important things, and we're going to learn about that through this chapter. But again, the language arts chapter has a little bit of the writing all mixed in, and it can be very confusing. So to help you out, I've gone into the module 12, and you'll notice I've added a writing module at the top. And that doesn't have an assignment or anything. It just explains the writing. So the big writing project for this mod is an opinion-based 5-paragraph essay on this. It's due June 2nd. I gave it an extra week because of testing. Here's the mod. In your opinion, which monument or memorial in the National Mall is most significant? Support your opinion with evidence from the stories that you're going to read and your research. So you can watch some more videos. But let's say you chose, I don't know, the Martin Luther King monument. then you might have an essay that sounds something like this. In my opinion, the Martin Luther King Memorial at the National Mall is the most significant because it is the only monument that recognizes a non-US president, because it recognizes somebody not for fighting, but for standing up for what they believed in without any fighting, nonviolence. And because it's somebody who lived during my lifetime or during my parents' lifetime, so it's more modern, so it means more to me. You're going to come up with like 3 reasons like that to support your essay. Here are the pages in the mod where you'll find the writing lessons and the directions. So on 1201, the lesson we're going to start tomorrow, on page 9, it gives you this prompt. Your opinion-based essay chart, it shows you what an opinion-based essay looks like. It reminds you of the 5-paragraph essay structure, and it gives you the prompt. On page 10, they have you brainstorm ideas of how to set up your essay. Maybe you say, I think the World War I monument is the most important because in World War I, it was a time when we were fighting against evil. In World War I, everybody in the world came together to fight. And in World War I, the United States went and fought in another country because they were not worried about their own safety, but they were trying to help others, or something like that. So for each monument, you're going to have a different way of supporting that essay. Happy to help you with that throughout the week. So this week, we're going to do 1201 and 1202. We're going to find out what our essay's about. We're going to do some research and gather notes. No writing this week. I'd like you to not start writing right away. You need to do your research first to make sure you're writing about something other than just saying, I think that the Lincoln Memorial is the best memorial because it's kind of cool looking and I like it and it's pretty neat, right? That's not an essay. All right, next week we are going to work on planning our essay and writing our essay. So 1203, 1204, adding quotes, using the research that we did, planning, getting it ready to go, and starting to write it. And then for 2 weeks, we're going to be doing that, researching and writing. And then the last week, revision and editing. So you have 4 weeks to write this. No excuse not to write it. If you come to the writing sessions, I'll walk you through how to do it. If you want to do it on your own, here are the pages the lessons are on. Okay, so again, that's in the front of the writing mod. Do I have any questions? So we're not doing anything on writing today. We are just learning what it's about. We haven't even started the lessons, but you might want to watch a video on the National Mall. Finish watching it. Right now, we have some, well, first of all, let me ask if there's any questions about the writing assignment and what it is. I don't see anything in chat. I don't see any hands raised. So it's kind of, you guys are good at this, right? You've written a bunch of essays. I will say, I was a little disappointed in how much research some people did last time. I had, 3 or 4 essays that were excellent, where people did a lot of research and had a lot of quotes and facts, and that was awesome. In fact, I asked Amadi if I could read his to the class because his had a lot of research in it, and maybe I'll read that tomorrow. Because I haven't read it to you yet. But what I like about his is it had both his own explanation and it had a lot of research. And there were several that were like that, really good jobs. And I told you guys if you did a great job on it. Other people, though, didn't include that much research or copied people's words and didn't cite them. So this time we're going to work on doing a better job of making sure we back up our opinion with some facts. All right. Yes, you can do the World War II monument, Anna, but also you should probably read the stories and watch a little bit more. I didn't even finish the video, but it was cool to see, huh? All right, you guys don't have to commit to which monument yet. I also have on the assignment, I've written that if you are a person who feels like the monuments in the National Mall mostly are rewarding wars and presidents and rich white men who were in power, and you'd like to see a different memorial there that does not exist for something you think's important, maybe women's rights or voting, there might be a monument to that. There's like over 200 monuments. So if you feel like there's a monument that should exist and you want to write an essay about why it should exist and the fact that it doesn't, and do a little research on how you get a monument in Washington, D.C., you can do that, but it'll be harder because there won't be as much information. So, all right, at this point, we have a couple of science presentations. So If I could get you guys to be a polite audience and turn on your screens, that would be great. And Lauren's going to go first, and then Kainoa have their reports to do. I don't know, Nora, if you have yours ready to go. If you do, you're welcome to.
Wait, did you say we're going to do a report right now?
Yeah, we're doing our reports. Remember, you said at 12:20. So Lauren's going to go first, and then you're going to go second. So Lauren, if you could turn on your video, that would be great. Do it. That's what your shirt says. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.